Netflix's biggest hits often hide real-life inspiration or dark origins. So you're chilling, you've got your popcorn, you press play on the latest must-see show, and you get sucked in. It's gripping, it's dramatic, it's a little too perfect. That's because what you're watching is often a carefully manufactured product, polished to shine, while the messy, uncomfortable truths are swept under the rug. We love a good story, especially one that claims to be based on true events, but honestly, that phrase is doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's the entertainment equivalent of your friend saying, "No offense, but you know something wild is about to follow." Many shows are loosely based on true events, but facts are twisted. Let's be real life is often boring, it's messy, it's complicated, and it doesn't always fit into a neat 8-episode story arc with a satisfying climax. So Hollywood does what it does best. It takes the raw, gritty reality and gives it a glow-up. They'll merge characters, invent dramatic confrontations, and create cliffhangers that never happened. The goal isn't historical accuracy, it's keeping your eyes glued to the screen so that the algorithm can recommend the next thing for you to consume. It's a feedback loop of fiction designed to feel just real enough. This isn't an accident, it's a strategy. Writers exaggerate or dramatize real stories for clicks and views. In the streaming wars, attention is the currency, and nothing grabs attention like scandal, drama, and high stakes. The truth is often sacrificed for a more marketable narrative. So while we're busy debating whether Carol Baskin fed her husband to a tiger, the real, often darker stories behind the scenes, the production nightmares, the exploited victims, the corporate agendas, remain completely hidden from view. But tonight we're pulling back the curtain, let's get into it. So let's talk about the architects of your favorite shows, the creators, the showrunners, the big idea guys. We see their names in the credits, we hear them in interviews talking about their vision. But what if that vision is built on a shaky foundation? What if the person crafting a story about justice and morality has a past that's, let's just say, less than moral? Netflix, like many studios, has a knack for platforming incredible talent, but sometimes that talent comes with baggage. Serious baggage. We're talking about creators who have faced credible allegations of misconduct, harassment, or toxic behavior, yet they're still handed 9-figure deals to produce content that millions will watch. It's a classic case of separating the art from the artist, but it gets complicated when the art is being streamed directly into our homes by a company that champions progressive values in its marketing. It's a cognitive dissonance, right? On one hand, you have a show about female empowerment, and on the other, the creator behind it might have a history that directly contradicts that message. Production scandals are another layer. A show might look seamless on screen, a perfect, well-oiled machine, but behind the scenes there could be chaos, budget overruns, crew members working grueling hours, and safety protocols being ignored. These stories rarely make it to the press, because non-disclosure agreements are as common as craft services on a film set. We see actors on red carpets, looking glamorous, collecting awards, living the dream, but the journey to that red carpet can be a nightmare. Let's get real about the on-set experience. For every story of a cast feeling like a family, there are whispers of toxic work environments that would make your HR department spontaneously combust. We're talking about grueling 18-hour workdays, psychological manipulation from directors trying to get a certain performance, and a culture of silence where complaining can get you blacklisted. Actors, especially those who aren't A-listers, are often in a vulnerable position. They need the job, they need the credit, and they don't want to be labeled as difficult. This pressure creates a breeding ground for exploitation. There have been numerous reports, often buried deep in industry trades, of actors being pushed to do unsafe stunts, facing harassment from powerful figures on set, or suffering from extreme burnout with little to no support. Netflix projects are famous for their massive scale and tight deadlines. That pressure trickles down. When a production is behind schedule, corners get cut, and often, the first corner to be cut is the well-being of the cast and crew. The final product might win an Emmy, but the human cost of that award is a part of the story that is always left on the cutting room floor. It's a dark reality hidden behind the glitz of Hollywood. Ever watch a show and feel like you're being nudged? Like the story is gently or not so gently pushing you toward a specific viewpoint. That's not your imagination. That's the quiet influence of cultural and political agendas being woven directly into the fabric of the scripts you binge. Now, all art is political to some extent, I get it, But with a platform as massive as Netflix, which has a larger subscriber base than the population of most countries, that influence is magnified to a global scale. The choices of what stories to tell, which characters to lionize, and which ideas to present as normal are incredibly powerful. These agendas can be subtle. It might be the way a certain political ideology is always portrayed by the good guys while opposing views are given to the villain or the buffoon. It could be a historical drama that conveniently omits inconvenient truths to present a more flattering version of the past that aligns with a modern-day narrative. Sometimes it's about what's not being said, the stories that are consistently ignored, the perspectives that are never given a platform. This isn't just about storytelling, it's about shaping culture on a mass scale. And because we're consuming it as entertainment, our guard is down. We're not fact-checking a sitcom, but the messages are still getting through, quietly molding our perceptions of the world without us even realizing it. Netflix wants to be everywhere. The goal is, honestly, global domination of your eyeballs. But going global means playing by a lot of different rules. What flies in California might get you banned in another country. So, what does a streaming giant do? Well, it adapts, it compromises, it censors. This is where we get into the practice of story reshaping for regional markets. A show you watch in the United States might be a completely different version from what someone in the Middle East, Southeast Asia, or even parts of Europe is seeing. Scenes are cut, dialogue is dubbed over, and entire plot lines are altered to appease local governments and cultural sensitivities. The most common targets for censorship are LGBTQ+ storylines, political dissent, and scenes with explicit content. Netflix will often remove same-sex kisses or relationships, edit out criticism of a country's government, or blur religious symbols to avoid controversy and maintain access to that market. On one hand, you could argue this is just business, they're localizing their product, but on the other hand, it means they are actively participating in the suppression of certain ideas and identities. They present themselves as a platform for diverse voices, but that diversity often comes with an asterisk that reads, "Terms and conditions may apply depending on your geographic location and the local political climate." It's a global platform with very regional morals. The true crime genre is, honestly, an absolute juggernaut for Netflix. We are obsessed with serial killers, con artists, and unsolved mysteries. Shows like Dahmer and Inventing Anna pull in astronomical viewing numbers. But here's the dark, uncomfortable question. What about the real people? The victims, the families, the people whose worst traumas are being packaged into a 10-part series for our entertainment. In many cases, these individuals and their families are never consulted, never compensated, and sometimes not even notified that a show about their life-altering tragedy is being made. Imagine scrolling through Netflix and seeing an actor portraying you or your murdered loved one. Imagine seeing the most painful moment of your life dramatized, fictionalized, and broadcast to millions without your consent. This happens all the time. The stories are often pulled from public records, books, or documentaries, which gives producers a legal loophole to avoid direct involvement with the people who actually lived through it. They get the drama without the messy human element of dealing with the grief and trauma they're mining for content. The show becomes a hit. Netflix makes millions, the actors get awards, but the real victims are left to relive their horror, uncredited and uncompensated. It's the ultimate form of exploitation, hidden in plain sight. Not every Netflix hit is about darkness and crime. Some are feel-good, inspirational stories. Think of shows about underdogs who make it big, or heartwarming comedies about quirky characters finding their way. They leave you feeling good about the world. But sometimes the story behind that inspirational show is a legal battlefield. The uplifting narrative you see on screen can be masking a brutal war over who actually owns the story, the characters, and the ideas. Copyright law is a minefield, and in the rush to get content made, sometimes the lines of ownership get very, very blurry. You'll have shows inspired by a book or a real person's life where the original creator ends up suing the production company, claiming their story was stolen or that they were cheated out of their fair share. These disputes can drag on for years, costing millions in legal fees, all while the show is being marketed as a testament to the human spirit. It's the ultimate irony. A series about collaboration and triumph is born out of conflict and accusations of theft. These lawsuits rarely get mainstream attention because they are often settled out of court with strict non-disclosure agreements. The studio pays up to make the problem go away, and the world is none the wiser, leaving the inspirational facade perfectly intact. Let's talk about the image, the brand. Netflix presents itself as a sleek, innovative, and progressive entertainment utopia. Think about it. The iconic Tay-Dum sound, the clean interface, the star-studded premieres, the interviews where everyone talks about how amazing the creative process was. It's a carefully constructed facade, a multi-billion-dollar PR campaign designed to make you feel good about where you're spending your monthly subscription fee. They are selling you a lifestyle, a cultural identity, not just a streaming service. It's cool, it's smart, it's what everyone is talking about. But as we've seen, that glamorous image is a stark contrast to the hidden truths. Behind the glossy posters and the witty social media accounts is a much messier reality. There are the toxic sets, the exploited victims of true crime stories, the censored content, the creators with questionable pasts, and the bitter legal fights. The public sees the finished, polished product. They don't see the grueling hours, the ethical compromises, or the human collateral damage that can occur during its creation. It's a magic trick. They show you the beautiful assistant smiling in the box, but they never ever show you the swords. So what does this all add up to? It adds up to a simple, powerful truth that Netflix and other major studios don't really want you to think about too hard. The truth is, you are being deliberately kept in the dark. The entertainment you consume is the end result of a long, complicated, and often ethically compromised assembly line. And the company has every incentive to keep the details of that assembly line a secret. They want you to see the shiny new car, not the chaotic factory where it was built. They want you to focus on the story on the screen, not the story behind it. Every decision, from the shows that get greenlit to the way they are edited for different countries, is driven by data, profit margins, and a desire to avoid bad press. The system is designed to insulate you from the uncomfortable realities of creation. They know that if viewers understood the full context, the potential harm to real people, the toxic environments, the political maneuvering, it might change how they feel about the content. It might make them hesitate before clicking play. And in the attention economy, hesitation is death. They need you to keep watching, no questions asked. In the end, the world of streaming is a paradox. It connects us through shared stories on a global scale, but it also builds walls to hide the messy, often ugly process of how those stories are made. We're sold a narrative of seamless creativity and endless entertainment, a digital buffet where every option is delicious and ethically sourced. But the kitchen is a frantic, sometimes brutal place. The public is shown glamour, but truth stays hidden behind production walls. The slick marketing, the glowing reviews, and the Emmy campaigns are all part of an elaborate performance to keep the curtain down. This isn't about boycotting Netflix or stopping watching your favorite shows. It's about changing we watch them. It's about becoming more critical consumers of the media that shapes our culture and our view of the world. We need to look past the surface-level drama and start asking tougher questions. Who benefits from this story being told? Whose story is being left out? What compromises were made to bring this to my screen? The power we have as an audience isn't just in our viewership numbers, but in our curiosity and our demand for transparency. So the next time you hear that ta-dum, let it be a reminder that every show has a story behind the story. The real drama isn't always in the script. The public is shown glamour, but truth stays hidden behind production walls. Don't just binge. Question what's behind the screen. Be an active viewer, not a passive one, because the most compelling story might be the one they never wanted you to see.